Hello and good morning and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, the only channel that brings you your team every single day, brings you all the latest news, views, updates from Glasgow Rangers. Wanted a bit of a different start to the video this morning. Hope you enjoyed that. If you are a member especially, obviously thanking all our loyal members who contribute just 99p a month, which really helps to support the channel. Obviously we don't charge you for the content. We do obviously thrive on your donations, whether that's a super thanks, the super chats, or your membership. It does help with the running of the channel. But I wanted to make that short video just to start off today, just to say a huge thank you to all of those members. Well, there's a few things we've got to cover this morning in the video. More transfer news surrounding Rangers, another centre half that's been linked, how much money Rangers want to raise through player sales, and just what is going on at the moment with Jose Cifuentes and Danilo as well. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about Rangers legend Barry Ferguson and what he's had to say about the summer transfer business. Well, let's start off by talking about a new transfer link that has come across the pages, come across the internet, has surfaced, shall we say. And that is a different centre-half to all those that have been linked. Now, obviously, we've seen links to Austin Trusty. We've seen links to Jonathan Panzo. We've seen links to Charlie Cresswell, a large number of different players. Now, according to the media this morning, a new centre-half has been linked with a possible return to Scotland, and that is Scott Mckenna, Scottish international Scott Mckenna. Yes, he used to play for Aberdeen, and I know that will not go down well with some Rangers fans. However, he has been plying his trade south of the border in the English Premier League with Nottingham Forest. But it's thought that Nottingham Forest are ready to cash in on Mckenna as they look to develop their team ahead of a new Premier League season. Mckenna helped Forest get promoted to the Premiership and also helped Forest to stay in the Premiership. A move that actually cost them more money, and they had to pay Aberdeen some more money for that. But, you know, he has definitely developed and got better since the days of being shackled by so-called McInnes ball at Aberdeen, when he was perhaps not the centre-half that he is today. He is a left-sided centre-back. He is a Scottish international. Now, one of the reasons Rangers are thought to be interested in signing Scott Mckenna is that he would be an affordable option to add to the number of homegrown players at the club. Now, the UEFA quota states that that Rangers will need a minimum of 8 homegrown players. So a signing of Scott Mckenna would certainly help with that quota. But it's not just for the quota they are signing him. Mckenna has gone from strength to strength and really developed in the English Premier League and learned a lot from playing against some of the best players in world football. Take, for example, the likes of Erling Haaland. You know, I think a lot of people didn't expect him to have the success that he's had south of the border, but he has done very well indeed. He's become much more aware of, especially aware of what's around him. And it's not just about man marking. It's also about zonal marking, about tracking players' runs, about watching balls, about watching how the ball is played, about reading the game. He has really developed his game playing at Nottingham Forest. Now, Steve Cooper, who is the Forest manager, has money to spend. And the fact that Mckenna has just 1 year left on his contract has opened the way for Rangers to consider a move for Mckenna. You know, looking at his numbers compared to fellow Forest defender and Rangers linked target Jonathan Panzo, it's clear to see where his weaknesses may lie. But he is an out-and-out defender, and he would be a great signing, adding some robustness, some physicality that at times I think a lot of fans really do feel that the defence does lack. One thing that criticism that has been levelled at Ben Davies has been his softness and his inability to cope with the rigours and the physicality of the Scottish game, whereas that's something that Mckenna cannot have levelled at him. You know, he can play left centre back. That is his primary role, but, you know, there is a possibility that he could play even left back as a cover. You know, he's only 26 years old, so he's definitely someone that Rangers are worth considering. And I think, someone like Mckenna would be a very good buy, and like I said, would support and help with the homegrown quota number. So that's a really big positive, I think, on the transfer front for Rangers. If Mckenna was to be signed, that would be a great idea, I think, personally. Okay, so moving on, there is still the Cifuentes saga, and now it seems to be the Danilo saga. It just, I don't know, why can't Rangers just sign a player? I know it takes time. I know there's links there, but I think with the season fast approaching, with the the Champions League qualifiers coming up towards the start of August as well, we really do need to get all these players bedded in and ready to go before that date. Now, the Jose Cifuentes and Danilo sagas have been dragging on for most of the summer. Now, in terms of Jose Cifuentes and where we're up to with that, when it looked obviously recently like it was pretty much a done deal and on its way, it now looks like there may be a bit more movement. Steve Cherundolo, former US international, who is the head coach of LAFC, has spoken about the fact that now the MLS is on a break, and it is on a break until the 21st. There is a space for him to redevelop and remold his squad slightly, he has said. And this is perhaps dropping that clue that he is ready to allow Cifuentes to move on. Now, I don't think LAFC wanted to allow Cifuentes to leave before this date because of the fact they are still in contention and doing very well in the Western Conference in Major League Soccer. They wanted to retain their better players so that they could continue to contend. Now that this break has come and there's opportunities for LAFC and all the other MLS teams to really look at their squads and develop their squads and change their squads how they see fit, it's felt that LAFC may be ready to accept the £1 to £1.5 million fee that Rangers are offering for Jose Cifuentes. They are certainly not going to get anywhere near the 10 to 15 million that was talked of last season for him when he had longer left on his contract, with the fact obviously that Cifuentes can walk away for nothing in January. So it does seem that there may be some movement on the Jose Cifuentes front, if reports coming out of LA are to be believed, and the comments that were made by Steve Cherundolo, head coach of LAFC, are very interesting, that he is, like I said, ready to remold and rework his squad. I think dropping a very big hint indeed. Now, moving on, obviously, talk a little bit about this man. Now, again, it seems that $6 million fee has been accepted by Feyenoord and negotiations are ongoing. Now, it's been reported in a number of Dutch media sources and in Feyenoord fan sources as well that Danilo is now keen to push through the move as soon as is possible. He clearly seems to have a desire to come to Ibrox. He has a desire to come and play for Rangers, and it seems that he wants that move pushed through sooner rather than later. That is what is being reported in Dutch media and in Feyenoord fan circles. Very much like that we talk about things here on on the channel. We talk about rumours, we talk about speculation, we talk about signings or departures. It's very much the same with Feyenoord fans as well. They are very much on this train as well. And official Feyenoord fan sources, unofficial Feyenoord fan sources, all saying that Danilo is very keen to push through this move as soon as is possible. And that's certainly something I hope that happens. If we can get Danilo in ASAP, it will certainly help with bedding him into the team, getting him linking up. I mean, Searle is very much early into his Rangers career, and players coming in early, we can start to work on that bond between Dessers and Danilo, I think, which could form a very deadly double D pairing up front. So it is very much in Rangers' interests to push this deal through as quick as is possible and get Danilo to Glasgow and get him working with the first team squad, and certainly give Michael Beale a chance to sort of push his tactics into him and get him to understand the way that he wants him to play coming into this new season, and obviously going into the Champions League qualifiers, which are absolutely vital for this club. I've talked at length, haven't I, about the fact that we need to be in the Champions League. We need to qualify for that, for the prestige, for the cash. It's all things that Rangers need desperately, and they need to continue on building if we are to continue to develop and grow and be a club that is contending in Europe in years to come. So very much the case, though, that like I said, they are very anxious to push through this Danilo deal as soon as is possible. Now, One person who has been exceptionally impressed with Rangers' summer transfer business is former Rangers captain and Rangers legend Barry Ferguson. He says that it is a sign that Rangers are really meaning business with what they have done. That he says that Michael Beale's team are sending a signal in how they are reshaping their squad this summer transfer window. And let's face it has certainly been a huge reshaping, hasn't it, of the team in terms of players coming in, players going out. You know, since these five guys departed the team, it's certainly been a big change in the squad. Ferguson believes that if Danilo was to be able to be pulled across the line, that Rangers will have a massive host of forwards to really develop and pull this squad. He feels that the signing of Danilo would really help take it to the next. So, you know, Barry Ferguson is clearly, you know, right with what he is saying. It would help, I think, massively in taking this team to the next level. He says that they are really sending a clear message with their transfer strategy that they mean business and that they want to end Celtic's dominance that has undergone over the Scottish game over the last few years. This is what Ferguson wrote in his Daily Record column. He said, I also won't be surprised if Danilo comes in from Feyenoord. He says Cholak has gone and it leaves Beale with 9 players to choose from if Danilo comes in. Danilo, Dessers, Roof, Sakala, Cantwell, Lammers, Dowell, Lawrence, Hadji for 4 forward positions. Now that really does feel like something worth getting excited about. I think, you know, Barry Ferguson is right. It really is something worth getting excited about when we have that much attacking talent, you know, to go into the team, that much attacking talent for this man to choose from going forward. I mean, just to reiterate that list: Danilo, Dessers, Roof, Sakala, Cantwell, Lammers, Dowell, Lawrence, Hadji, and that's for 4 attacking positions. That is a lot of options, and certainly something that Michael Beale did not have last season. All that options. Barry Ferguson went on to say it's sending out a clear message that Rangers mean business again and that Celtic have been far too dominant for far too long. The only way to stop that is to freshen up things inside Ibrox, and that is certainly something that has happened. So there is a clear signal, isn't there, with what we've done this summer, and I think it's been recognised by pundits, analysts, and fans alike that Rangers are back and they are meaning some serious business this season, and that we are out and that we will end Celtic's unfortunate dominance of the Scottish game in recent years. Which, look, you know, yes, they have been okay as a team or good as a team, but people forget that we've had a long journey back since 2012. You know, they had those 3 years when we were climbing the football pyramid again, those years when we were rebuilding again, and some poor decisions made by previous boards on players and managers. You know, the Pedro days, you know, they were not great at all, were they? The appointment of GVB on reflection was not a brilliant appointment. So, you know, there has been a rebuild undertaking place. And I think, you know, finally this rebuild is kind of coming to fruition, that the team is now moving in the right direction, that we have people at the top of the club in James Bisgrove and John Bennett who are very clear in their vision and very clear in how they want this club to drive forward and this club to become the dominant force again in Scottish football, which is exactly, as fans, what we want to see from the club. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you know, Rangers have undergone this big change. You know, these 5 guys all walked out for nothing. You know, obviously, Scotty Arfield going with our best wishes to Charlotte FC, Ryan Kent going to Fenerbahce. You know, obviously, we didn't unfortunately get any money for Ryan. He could have raised a substantial transfer fee, I think, if we had him under contract. Alfredo Morelos, who is still looking for a club. Philip Hallander, who is training with Malmo, and Alan McGregor, who has retired. So, you know, they all went out for nothing. And obviously that was the start of this big change. And yes, we have gained money from them in terms of wages saved, because the likes of Kent and McGregor and Morelos would have been on big wages at the club. We have made some money from transfers already. The sales of Antonio Cholak, obviously for 2.5 million, and the £1 million that we got from Bayern Munich for the breaking of the agreement over the Tillman deal. And obviously, possibly some more money to come in from Tillman with a 10% sell-on clause. But at the moment, we've raised 3.5 million. So Rangers have said that they are very much about trying to not only develop the squad through player purchasing and through looking at Bosman options and paying of wages to get those players in and signing on fees, but also about trying to raise some more capital and raise some more funds through player sales. Now, according to reports this morning, Rangers are looking to raise between 18.5 and 20 million through player sales. Now, like I mentioned, 5 of the most experienced players have walked away for nothing, and there was no transfer money came in for those, other than obviously saving of the wage bill. Now, as the window really kicks into action, Rangers are looking to raise this 18.5 to 20 million. Like I said, they've raised 3.5 million already, and there's looks to raise them to 15 to 16.5 million pounds, if my maths serves me right. Now, players who could obviously be possibly on their way out. I think it's very clear, who Rangers are seeing as possible departures. Robbie McCrory, who's demanding a move away due to lack of first-team football. Rangers will start the bidding at apparently £500,000 for McCrory. That is what the rumours, because he is entering the final year of his contract. Glenn Kamara is another one. Rangers want about 5 million for him. Yanis Hadji. Now, guys, can I just clear something up? I do not hate Yanis Hadji. I was not hating on Yanis Hadji. The amount of criticism I got for talking and analysing Yanis Hadji as a player yesterday by some fans, saying that I was hating on him, that I turned Rangers fans away from the channel because of my comments about Hadji. Look, I don't hate Hadji. I was just saying that he hasn't got a lot of pace, and that playing in a team, in a side where in a country where the pace isn't as big of an option as it is in Scotland, may suit him better as a player. That's not hating on him. That's analysing his style of a player. I'm not saying he can't play in Scotland. I'm not saying he can't be a success in Scotland. What I am saying is his style might be better suited to playing in Italy or in Spain. Some pretty appalling comments yesterday, to be perfectly honest with you. So fans looking we're looking for about 3.5 to 5 million for Hadji, possibly 4 million for Sakala, $500,000 for Scott Wright. All this would mount up, and like I said, Rangers would be looking for somewhere between 18.5 and 20 million. Added to that, possible sales of the likes of Robbie Matondo, Ben Davis. It's all moves that could see the club raise that 18.5 to 20 million pounds that they want to raise to supplement further player acquisition, obviously to keep the club on a sound financial footing going forward. The days of us spending what we want when we want, the David Murray days of being able to splash the cash on the likes of Mark Walters and so on and so forth, those days are over. The days of being able to bring in the Boer brothers, the Newmans, the Gazzers, the Laudrups, that's finished now. That's not going to happen unless Scottish football undergoes a major change in terms of its competitiveness, in terms of its TV deals, in terms of its sponsorship revenues, in terms of the amount of money it brings into the game. That's why the English clubs are so financially far ahead of us, because of the fact that they have phenomenal TV deals, phenomenal sponsorship deals, owners that are ridiculously rich. You look at the top clubs in England at this moment in time. You look at the likes, obviously, of Manchester City, who are owned by the guys from the UAE, who are absolutely stinking rich. There's the Saudis that own Newcastle. I mean, the rumour that they're after that Napoli forward, the guy whose name I can't pronounce, into the K, for 82 million, just kind of shows that. Manchester United, who historically have always been very rich, the Fenway Sports Group, and Liverpool, again, an organisation that are exceptionally wealthy and own a number of sports franchises in the US, successful sports franchises like the Red Sox and the Penguins in the US. You look at the likes, obviously, of Arsenal, who are owned by Stan Kroenke, who is an exceptionally rich man. These guys have money to burn, and that's certainly not the case in Scottish football. The days of us being able to go out and splash 15, 20, 25, 30 million, or even, the days of us being able to consider spending that are not here. We can't do that at this moment in time. So we are trying to live within our means, and that's why we brought in this trading model, and that's why, obviously, we're not going out and spending even up to 10 million on a player. But it has been a great summer so far. The signings we've brought in have made us, very, very competitive. You look at those players that have come in, and you've got to ask the question, like I said, who's next? Is it Cifuentes? Is it Danilo? Is it Panzo? Is it Mckenna? Who is going to be next?
A lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain.
I've seen a lot of change, and obviously it is looking very bright for the future. I, for one, cannot wait for the start of the new season. And here on Glasgow Rangers Nation, we will bring you all that latest news, views, updates, games once the season gets underway. If you want to have all that content, please hit that sub, ring that notification bell. If you can give the video a like, guys, I would love you to do that. And one other thing I would love you to do, and I need you to do for me, please, is remember something for me. Remember that we are the people.